Well, here we are, high above Saskatoon with the one and only Sheri Willick. And indeed, we are high above. Look, I can see the city behind us. What you can't see all the time are the rules when it comes to real estate. And you've been such a treasure for us, a wealth of information over the years. Today, we want to talk about tenant-occupied dwellings. And let's start with the challenges, say, for a seller of a tenant-occupied property.
Well, I think one of our number one things that comes back is sometimes the owner that's going to sell doesn't have a lease in place anymore. Tenant's been there for a long time and they just let the lease lapse and they were getting paid rent and nobody thought about it. That can be a challenge because, then you're not sure what the lease originally said and what the rules are for the proper notice that you would give. The most simplified ones are when you've got a good, clean, crisp lease that has clear instructions on how to end the lease agreement. So that's one of the biggest challenges from the selling side. The other thing is that you don't really have control over the appearance of the house because it's somebody else's home that they live in, right? And it's not easy on tenants for when the home is being shown, right? So you've got to have some compassion and kindness in there too.
No doubt about it. And as you say, they've got other challenges going. The first thing we were just kind of talking about before we started, though, is maybe offer to your tenant to buy.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it sounds kind of a little bit crazy to me as a realtor saying, like, try it without me first, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. It's not exactly what I'm saying. But it's if you have a good tenant in place, it simplifies the whole matter. I would honestly always recommend give them an opportunity to buy it first rather than go through the whole thing, right? Like it just simplifies everything.
Yeah.
If they can and they would, then nobody's moving in and out. There's no...
Fewer moving parts, the better, right? A lot of times that's the case. Now, let's flip the coin and talk about the buyer. Let's say you're interested in a property, whether it be for an investment property or not.
Or not,
There's things you have to consider if there's tenants in there.
Sure, you should also know what that lease looks like. Especially if you're going to assume the tenant, you should have as a condition the review of that and have perhaps a real estate lawyer that's used to looking at tenant agreements and ensure that they don't see any red flags for you assuming that lease. If you're wanting to take vacant possession, then you also should know or have some clarity that the seller feels strong enough in their end of lease agreement that when they hand you the keys, it is going to be a vacant home.
Yeah, it'd be nothing worse than pulling up with the moving truck and the tenants are still there. They're, having a cup of coffee at 9 a.m. on the back deck or whatever the case might be.
It's rare, but it happens.
But communication, I think, is the most critical piece to all of this, no matter what side of the ledger you're on, and also understanding the laws. Because let's say you wanted to keep it as a rental property, as an investment property, you're going to have different rules from your lenders, potentially, and you'll also have to have considerations in terms of the potential and when it's allowed to maybe increase rent, things like that?
All that type of stuff. Because if you're buying it and you're saying, okay, I need to make this much rent money in order to make profit off of my mortgage over and above that, then you better know the rules in place about when you can make those rent increases and if you're going to have enough after your costs.
Perfect. And then the one other thing we wanted to talk about really quickly is, let's say that you're looking to sell again. Back to that side of the coin, you can incentivize maybe for the tenant an earlier move out or kind of tweaking the
sometimes
lease
the end of lease is in the winter and you're not going to renew it. So have a conversation with them again. Say, hey, I'm not going to renew your lease in November, so we want to give you the opportunity to mutually end this lease agreement early if you find something else to move sooner, because who wants to move in November if you don't have to, right?
Not me, I'll tell you that. There you go. But I do always want to go to SheriWillick.com no matter what month of the year it is. Sheri, thanks very much for a couple of minutes.
Thank you.